Hello and welcome to the Westford DEI Committee's podcast that we call Inclusive Conversations. Today's guests, Wendy, Gloyd, and I will be talking to, and I'm Joe Diamond, by the way. Wendy, Gloyd, and I will be talking to Haining Bao and Dawn Brantley, both of whom are members of the DEI Committee, and we're looking forward to getting to know them. And it's our effort to introduce, if you will, to Westford residents and those who listen, the members, and learn a little bit about those members so that folks can get a sense and a picture. And then perhaps one day, folks who are listening, if we do have openings, might be interested in joining the committee or volunteering for the committee if they're not members. A little bit of background too for folks who are joining us for the first time. This is one in a series of conversations that we've had with our members and on special topics. I think this is the 10th or the 11th podcast that we've done, and those podcasts can be seen and listened to and accessed at the Westford DEI Committee web section of the Westford web page, and so we welcome people to listen. They're about a half hour. We're so thrilled to be able to talk to both Haining and Dawn today. It comes at a very interesting time for this committee. We've been working for probably 4 years now, and in that time we operated off of a very important and inspiring charge that both the Select Board and the School Committee gave us. And then recently, Wendy and I were involved with a committee that developed a vision statement, the DEI Committee vision statement, which was approved by both the Select Board and the School Board. And I want to read it because it is inspiring, and I think it does give us a sense. And Haining, you too were part of that committee, and we appreciated your input. It says, our vision for Westford is a town that embraces, celebrates, and draws strength from our growing diversity and an engaged and inclusive community, boasting a town government whose practices and actions display a consistent commitment to equity, and is known by current and future generations as a welcoming place that fosters an abiding sense of belonging. I think we're on our way there, and that's what's so exciting about living in Westford. Just a few sentences about Dawn and Haining, and then we'll get right to you, Haining. Dawn Brantley is a Westford resident, of course. She is the director in Massachusetts of the Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency. She's also the co-chair of the National Emergency Management Group's DEI committee. We'll be talking to her about that a little later and about why she's joined us. And Haining Bao is an engineer, works for a medical company nearby, but had been part of, I think, was part of the leadership team at the Chinese language school. Is now on the board of directors at the Chinese language school. Has been involved in Westford cultural events and affairs for quite a long time. So welcome, Haining. Thank you for joining us. Let's get right into it. Tell us a little bit about yourself. When did you come to Westford? How long have you been here? And why you joined the committee. And we will also ask you questions as well about some of your experiences that we know about and we are very excited about, including the Lunar New Year celebrations. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for having me here. It's a great opportunity to talk over the TV, so kind of a new experience for me. And my name is Haining, and I moved to Westford like 5 years ago from New Hampshire. It's a great town to live here, and I was initially involved with my kids at the Chinese language school, and then I get involved in the many activities in the school, and then I was volunteered to be a principal over there for 2 years. And then it's naturally I getting involved for many local events, because Chelmsford Chinese Language School, they have students mostly from the surrounding towns, especially from Westford, Chelmsford, and as far as New Hampshire and Andover, Massachusetts. So that's about for my the brief history of also my experience over there. So do I have time to continue for the other
Yeah,
Yeah,
please. I
yeah.
mean, we've really enjoyed and benefited from your participation on the DEI committee, and I can remember just a couple of different
Mhm.
things that I wanted to relate about you. I remember your input into the discussion that we had about the vision statement. It was so important because the point that you made to us was
Mhm.
that we really need to express this in a way that let people
Yeah.
know that we're not just talking about this current moment in time,
Mhm.
but we're talking about future generations, that this is a
Yep.
multi-generational enterprise. And as a
Yes.
principal,
Mhm.
former principal, and as somebody who's still involved with the
Mhm.
Chinese language school, what's your take on that idea that DEI is a multi-generational approach?
Yeah, for my experience to involve the mostly in the Asian communities, I felt our students, I mean, their experience with from the family, from the schools
Mm-hmm.
is great, but it's also limited because everyone's experience just pretty much limited to the schools and the families. But how do we view the world? The world view is limited with this environment. So one thing we will experience during the COVID time, there's some challenges, which is intrigued me to join that's main trigger for me to join the DIs, to working with all the communities, to working with the students in the Westford town. We live in the biased world, so that's not really that's kind of tough for Asian communities for the last couple of years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Instead of like to have a debate or anything, I think the most effective way is to communicate, talk to each other. So we try to build the platform,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
talk to all the communities. So that's why we continue the tradition of the Lunar New Year celebrations. It's family-based event hosted in the WAs. We have more than like 700 people who join us every year for the last 2 years, and we see the smiles from the family. We see the smiles from the kids. I think that's the best thing we could do to bring the communities together to enjoy the event, to join the festivals. I think that's the best way to have people to understand each other, to more appreciate each other. So that's the initial that's the main target. Or that's why we're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So for the Lunar New Year celebrations, we're providing a platform for volunteers from the communities. Last year, we have almost 100 high school students as a volunteer, and some of them are coming from surrounding high school, from surrounding towns. I think that's great. So we told the school with great support from the school district and the WA's principal, all the way from the principal, dean of students, and the teachers from the WA's. We said our second biggest target is providing a platform
Mm-hmm.
for students to be volunteer, not just volunteer, but also to improve their leadership skills,
Mm-hmm.
communication skills, and how to organize a huge event. So that's our two main purpose:
Mm.
bring them together, providing platform for our students.
I have a few more questions about the celebration, but I know Wendy does as well, so I don't want to preempt you.
I know there's great food at the event as well as entertainment and music. And I was amazed last year with the quality of the programming and the diversity of the folks. They're not just all from Westford. They come from a lot of different locations, and I was amazed at how many people travel long distances for this event, and I'm glad it's got such a great following.
Yes, exactly. So that's the three parts we focus on. The first is the dinner, to enjoy the great Asian cuisine as kind of a semi-formal diner set. And we have the band and also activities surrounding, around the cafeterias. And the second part is the main part, which is culture showcases. And in the gym, last year we have more than 40 tables, activities, and culture showcase benches. But also, we want to expand this opportunity to our local businesses, not only just our sponsors, but also as to showcase our local business, to promote our for our local businesses. And also the organizations from the local towns are also from Westford are also welcomed. So we want to use this one as a great window, a great opportunity to open up opportunities for any kinds of local business, local organizations. It's family related, students related. So that's just to all fit in this main purpose: bring people together. And the last piece is great show in the theater.
We, I wasn't able to attend the last event. I'm intrigued though by the dinner. Who makes the food?
Oh, it's a great restaurant from Chelmsford, Sichuan Palace, from the Summer Street Plaza.
Oh, okay. So you partner with the Sichuan Palace, is that what you said?
Yes.
Yeah. And are you thinking that you might continue with that restaurant?
I think so. I mean, it's really successful, and
Yeah.
the owner of the business is kind of really want to support the local events, which is people, because we explained. So this is not just a local festival celebrations. This is the purpose. Our purpose is trying to bring all the communities in the town and around the towns around us, bring everybody together. So that's something not just like for you to show off how delicious your food is, but also is a really meaningful event to participate.
And do you talk with the folks who make the dinner to put together a selection of food that has a sort of a cultural significance?
Exactly. You have to balance out not only food allergies, but also you have to balance out the flavors for all the people.
Right.
I always ask them, what's your best selling product? What's your best selling dishes over there? So does people prefer like spicy or non-spicy or fish or all kinds of, there's so many details. The menu we have to go through like more than 10 iterations to decide even how much juice, how much sauce left in the dishes we have to think about. And we also have a great support from our Department of Health in Westford. They providing on-site supervisor and support to the cafeterias to making sure the food safety and the food, the temperature, inner temperature, and everything. There's a lot of professional ideas they're providing us. So you can imagine how much details this event involved with so much support, starting from the school district, Dr. Chu, and the WA principals, dean of students, the managing teachers, other teachers, certain managers from the WAs, cafeterias, facilities. I mean, it is a fire department. There's so many support we received for the last 2 years. So that's approved, and that's just proved the point, which is many people working together to understand.
I didn't realize there were so many partners in this. That you've got the town of Westford, town of Chelmsford, local organizations, the restaurant, local businesses. So how many partners would you say support this event?
Oh, well, I mean, besides the department that just mentioned, we also have Department of Health, the fire department, and so we have the school district.
Of course, right.
School district, and also the school teachers. I mean, the WA teachers. And also, my daughter went to his own middle schools. The principal and the teachers also support, her own teachers also support this event. So this thing cannot be pulled off with so many people working together. So we deeply appreciate that one, and then we realize there's more to be done. There's more to work, and also this is with so much work. I mean, also this is really a great opportunities for our student volunteers to get involved, to sharpen up, to improve their skills, to organize such a huge event, and communicate with all kinds of organizations and people. So I would encourage more students to volunteer, to join, to get a taste of this event, to see what we can do for all the communities.
Last year, I happened to be outside when you or the folks invited the fire staff, police staff to come in and enjoy some food as a break, and to see their eyes light up in thinking of being able to share in some of that food was just an amazing thing to see.
Yep, I believe they're also shocking, like how many families was there.
So when is the event this coming year, or this
This coming year will be February 8th.
February 8th? Okay. And where was it being held again?
Oh, this will be in the same location with great support from school district. It's in WA. We have different kinds of events in cafeteria, in the gym, and in the theater.
And so is there a feature for the event on the 8th, February 8th, that's an addition to what you've done in the past?
So we are going to be enrich that culture showcase and the local business and organizations representations in the gym.
Mm-hmm.
We're trying to have a kind of more exciting show and everything. So I've been organized so many events for the last 7, 8, 9 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this event has the best quality of the food and the best quality of the show and the most variety of the culture showcase and the different local business presentations.
Somebody once said to me that certainly events like this help expand our horizons when it comes to understanding other cultures, and that food always helps.
Yes, exactly. That's a soul.
It's such an important part of a culture. So yeah.
Yeah, and we do need a lot of help because with so much work involved, and we kind of want to pass on to the young generations. If there's more volunteers join us, not just from the Asian community, we welcome anyone who is interested with the young kids in the town. So I welcome you. Come take a look. See anything you want to bring your kids together and working together with us.
That sounds good. Wendy, any other questions for Haining?
I was just was stunned last year to see how many folks were at the event and how many folks I met within town that I had never known, just struck up conversations.
Oh, that's interesting.
Over the dinner in the cafeteria. You see folks that you know, but you meet a lot of new ones that you've never had a chance to. And it was just...
big draw, huh? Sounds like
it was amazing, and just stunned by the show and the face-changing opera was something I had never seen before. So a lot of great memories.
Yep. Thank you. To give you some numbers, so we have almost 100 high school students working as volunteers, many from the WA and also from Acton, Chelmsford, and Littleton over there. So, and also we have almost like 100 plus volunteers as a parents, as adult volunteers from Westford and all around the communities, and we have. I think it's more than close to 100 performers from different organizations, and we have dinner guests more than 300, and we have the participants to participate in the activities in the gym, and also in the theater to watching the shows, and that's more than a few hundreds. So in together, there's so many people there. It was great. It was great. Yeah.
Well, we can't wait for it. And let me let you know, and we said this to you at our DEI committee meetings, we want to be supportive and helpful. We want to get the word out. Well,
Thank you.
We're going to, I'm sure the members will do their best to get there. I want to thank you for your time on a busy Friday. I know that you're in the middle of your work day. And for us, this is a pleasure because we, in the context of the DEI committee meeting, we should do more. We should have like a party for our DEI so we can get to know our members more. But it's hard to learn the kind of things that we just learned from you about you and about this event. At a meeting that lasts an hour and a half to 2 hours with a thick agenda. So thank you for your time, and we'll see you at our next meeting in the middle of December, and then hopefully after that in February too.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you so much for this precious opportunity to share. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Welcome, Dawn. We're so pleased that you're here with us, and we wanted to get right into some basic questions, but then talk a little bit about the DEI committee and where we might be headed with you as part of it. But what we like to do with folks who are joining us, as we said earlier, this is our opportunity to get to know the DEI committee, is just to hear a little bit about your background. I did allude to a little bit of it earlier, but if you could add to that your experience currently, your experience with DEI, and what's intriguing to me, and perhaps to Wendy, is how DEI plays a role in emergency management.
Great. Well, thank you. I appreciate the opportunity. Also appreciate the opportunity to serve on the DEI committee. I am relatively new to Westford. We moved last December. My experience in DEI is I am currently the director of Massachusetts Emergency Management Agency and have been in emergency management 17 years. And my niche focus has always been around accessibility. And then in the last few years, diversity and equity has started to become a very big part of the work that we do and looking at how we can improve equity, accessibility, inclusion. And within that space, I am also an attorney that focuses on non-discrimination laws and their application in emergency management. And as a state director, I serve in the National Emergency Management Association, which is the Association of State Directors. And I am starting my third year as the first and only chair of the DEI committee, the Diversity and Equity Committee for NEMA. And what we do there is look at national policy level impacts of emergency management with diversity, equity, inclusion. And we've just rolled out our 3-year strategic work plan that works on solid practical outcomes and objectives that will help improve equity and inclusion across emergency management in all of our states in the country. So it's pretty exciting work.
What would you say can you elaborate a little bit on the aspect of emergency management that you mentioned, and I know relates to DEI, and that's access to emergency management services? How does that play out?
Yeah, well, when we talk about access, we're talking about disability accessibility, and not so much in a medical model terminology, but more in the a needs kind of operational basis. So if you think about with Hurricane Helene and Milton recently is a really good it gives us a good frame of reference. When you have an evacuation, you need to make sure that your messaging is accessible to people with disabilities, those with limited English proficiency, those who may have cultural barriers to receiving that information. And then you need to make sure that your evacuation is accessible. So are you providing paratransit, so accessible transit? Are you providing locations where people with disabilities can access that transportation? And are you taking them to a shelter that is accessible? So when we say access, that's what we mean. Can people have equal access to our programs and services?
I just have one more question, and then I know Wendy does too. First of all, that's such an interesting perspective, and I'm curious how and when the DEI framework became part of the work of emergency managers. Is that a sort of a decades-old piece?
There's two different answers to that. Mm-hmm. So the accessibility, so LEP, limited English proficiency and disabilities, really kicked up beginning in Katrina and amplifying after 9/11. Equity really became a solid conversation and effort, concerted effort during COVID. So it is a very new application of equity to emergency management.
Thank you. Wendy, please.
And I'd just like to jump to talk about your personal connection with. I know your time is limited, and you spend a lot of time serving on Commission on Disability as well as DEI committee. So I was wondering if you could talk more about your interest and passion for those.
Oh gosh. So on a personal level, I just feel like making sure that everyone is included and has free and easy access to the world around them is really important. As an individual, I have my own disabilities that are not necessarily visible. And then I have family members who are members of various minority communities. In disability access, we always say disability is the one minority we're all eventually going to join. And so making sure we are thinking about that in all of the work that we do when we're going to parks and accessing a beach, when we have an election coming up, making sure that people can access that and feel comfortable doing that, I think is one of the most important things we can do as a community for the members of our community. We had Halloween last night. And one of the things that we did in our household is we got our regular candy, and then we went out and we bought sugar-free candy and put the sign on the door that we have sugar-free candy, because how many of us think about children who are diabetic who can't normally trick or treat?
That's a great point. And also for the DEI committee, what is, I know you're doing that at work, but also what it might be, how do you see overcoming barriers and addressing those in your planning?
My planning at work?
Yeah, your planning at work, yeah.
So at MEMA, we actually are national leadersness, as you might expect. We are very progressive in what we do. We work hard for each of our units to look at all the different, what I call touch points. So where do we touch the public? And then how are we looking at the work that we do and ensuring it's accessible? One great example is just this year, the governor created a disaster recovery fund. And so in the conversations of how do we build this recovery fund that will reimburse individuals, households, cities and towns after a disaster, how do we make sure we're not accidentally creating barriers that prevent people from getting reimbursed for costs? So if you're going to attach things like you have to elevate your house if you're in a flood zone, well, that may be affordable for some people, but it's not affordable for most of us. And so looking at the way that we build our programs and services and what that impact might be, even if it's unintentional, is one of the most important things that we can do in emergency management to make sure we're building things, building services that don't adversely impact certain communities. Did that answer your question, Wendy?
Yeah, that was great.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And I know that you need to jump off soon for an appointment, potentially perhaps with the governor. I'm not sure, but that wouldn't be a surprise to me if you were in touch with her. One last question, which we should have started with, but why did you join the DEI committee in Westford?
Well, I've moved a lot in my life. I've lived in 8 states in my life. When I moved to Westford, just really loved it and want to stay. And so it was a way to invest in the community, but also to give back to the community and take what I've learned and done in DEI and accessibility work, and be helpful to the community, because public service to me is the best service that you could do.
Well, thank you, and we're thrilled that you're with us on the committee. Well, that concludes this edition of our podcast. We will follow up with one. I think what we're planning, we haven't set it up yet, is to visit with our friends in Acton, the DEI folks there. Don't quote me because we're not quite sure, but we'll do something like that. I think, and where we are, at this point, is that we will have a next meeting of our committee in the middle of December, and we'll continue with the projects and the work that we have. So, for those who are listening, I'm Joe Diamond.
I'm Wendy Cloyd.
And we very much appreciate you visiting. Check out the webpage and listen to this and other of our podcasts.